Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. This is, I believe, my third stream in the series, and so before I get into what we're doing in this stream, I'll just catch everyone up that maybe missed the last two streams. So basically what this is that's sitting in front of me is it's going to be a controller for a special kind of Christmas lights called Pixels. And what's special about them is basically that they can change colors, and not only can they change colors, but every single bulb on the string can actually be an entirely different color. So they use a special kind of controller to control them. I use these in my Christmas light show. I have a big Christmas light show where I have lots of lights that flash to music and everything on my house. And so I'm trying out some of these new lights this year. Well, they're not really new, but this is the first year I'm using them. And we'll see how they work this year. So this here, I don't think I've showed you guys this before. This here is actually the controller itself. So this is what's actually going to be controlling the lights. And then this is the box that I've been working on. The past two streams were just getting this box ready to put all the electronics in it. But now that I have everything ready, I have these plexiglass mounting plates in here. I have some, I don't know if you can see them, you can kind of see them inside here. I have some of these cable glands to pass cables through. So we're actually ready to start putting the electronics in here and start wiring everything up. So that's what I'm going to be doing today in this stream. So I'll take this out of here, this top plate. And so this is the controller itself. And then this is the power supply, because these lights all run on, well, either 12 volts or 5 volts. I'm going to be using all 12 volt lights. So you need a 12 volt power supply, which is what this guy right here is. So this is going to sit right in here. And then I have a power cable that's going to come in this right here. I need to put a connector on here, and then that's going to plug into this over here, into this side of the power supply. And then this power supply is actually designed for a server. This is a server power supply that's used to power a server. And so in order to use it, I need to use this, it's called a breakout board, that is going to go on, this is the output here. So normally this whole thing slides into a server, and this connects to the server here. But I don't have an easy way to connect wires to this right now. So I'm going to slide this one to here, that slots on there. And then you can see this has spaces to put a bunch of fuses in right here. And then there's two large outputs here, as well as some smaller, I think these are like 5 amp outputs here. So this one and this one are for 30 amps each, and then these are all for 5 amps. And then there's also a little switch here that turns the power supply on and off. So that's going to go in the front. We'll run some wires everywhere. Then this is going to get power from the two 30 amp outputs on these. One's going to go to here. One's going to go to here. This can get mounted on the top plate. And then all these here, all these green blocks here, are the outputs that actually go to the Pixels. So I'm going to connect some of these things to those. These are called pigtails. So it's a waterproof connector on one side, and then the other side just has bare wires. So the bare wires are going to connect to these green blocks here, and they can be tightened down with some screws up here on the top. These come out, they're actually connectors, so we can take these out, connect the pigtails to them, and screw them down so the wires stay in there, and then push them back on here, and that'll be the outputs to the lights. And then the other end of these, the waterproof connectors here, are going to go to like extension leads. They use these same connectors that are then going to go out to the Pixels themselves. So I think what I should start by doing in this stream is to start with the power input. And I have this normal power cord right here. This is going to go in through this cable gland on the side over here, so I'll pass that through there. And then you've probably seen one of these before. This is called I forget, it's either a C13 or a C14. And like one of those numbers is for the male connector and the other is for the female connector. And so this is going to connect to here. This comes apart. There's a screw in there, and the wires can connect in there. And then that'll go to here. And then we'll start working on the output of this from there. So I'm going to start by loosening up this cable gland, which, if you missed my last video, a cable gland is basically just a little plastic thing that allows you to pass a cable through an enclosure while keeping it waterproof. And so you put it through, and then there's like a little nut that you tighten down that squeezes a rubber piece around the cable. And that rubber piece, once it squeezes around there, it makes sure that it keeps it nice and waterproof. And so let me stick this through here. Alright, so now I can take this apart. In fact, let me see if I can kind of set this out of the side, or to the side for right now. And I'll get this here unscrewed, and then we can connect this wire here to the terminals inside of this. And so now that I have this apart, let me zoom in here. You can see there's 3 terminals in here. It's a hot, neutral, and a ground. And I am actually not sure which is which. It looks like they're labeled here. The middle one's earth. Then the left one here is neutral, and the one on the right is live. And there's also this little piece here, which is basically just a strain thing that goes over here and just protects the wire a little bit where it goes into here. And I'm not sure if this is going to fit over here or not. It's kind of tight, so it kind of slides on, but not super well. So I might just leave that off. It should be okay because it's just inside of an enclosure here, and it's not really going to be, moved around a whole lot or anything. What's going on? I think it's too tight. I'm just gonna leave it off. If I can get it back off now, that is. There we go. And so there's a clamp here that'll loosen up. This will go under there, and then these wires will connect here. And I think these wires are gonna be a little bit too long also. I'll try to put the edge of this insulation here in this clamp. And that doesn't leave me with a whole lot of room here, but I should be able to make it work. So I'll have to trim these all down a good bit. So let me take this clamp out right here. Okay, so that'll go right in like that, and I'll be clamped down. If this clamp fits over here, I think we can make it work. And then each of these wires is going to get wrapped around one of these screws. And I should also try to get this wire turned a little bit so that these more line up with where I need them to be, which is right there, I think. It is... No, it's the opposite of that. Like this, because the... Wait, no. No, I had it right the first time. It goes like this. The live goes on this side, and the neutral goes on this side over here. So I think these two should be about the same length. I think they can be cut right about there. Hopefully that's right. Should be. And then they can be stripped starting right about here. And I'll try to match this one about the same. Putting stranded wires like this under screws like this isn't really recommended, but I think in this case it'll be okay. I wouldn't recommend it if you're wiring up like a switch or an outlet or something in your house though. And I think this one can just be a little bit shorter than the other ones. And one thing that's going to make this a lot easier is that these terminals in here actually just come right out. These screws don't hold them in or anything. Those screws are just to wrap the wire around. So I think they're just clamped on by this top piece. So let me see if I can get this in focus here. It's not wanting to focus. There we go. That's better. How to get a manual focus. So I can take these out and then I can wrap these around here and then put them in. And these have little like walls on each side to keep the wires from coming out, so that'll be really nice. That again helps with the stranded wires. And whenever you're wrapping wires around a screw like this, you always want to do it clockwise. So that way when you tighten the screw, it pulls the wire in towards the screw instead of trying to push it out away from the screw. And so I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit now. And then I'll wait till it's back in to tighten it up the rest of the way because we have those walls I said about. That'll help keep the wire from just like squashing out the side. So far, this is a pretty reasonably designed plugin. You'd be surprised how terrible some of the replacement extension cord ends, especially that you can get, are. They're just not designed well at all, and they're almost impossible to put wires in. This one's not wrapped around here as well as I'd like it. I'm gonna try to redo this one a little bit. A lot of strands are popping out of this ground one. I'll have to redo this one again. Alright, there we go. I think that's finished. I should probably plug this in quickly just to make sure that nothing terribly bad goes wrong. Let me get this plug here. It should be fine, but it's always good to double check. Actually, I should do this the smart way. I should get a multimeter and test these quickly because I don't entirely trust this plug. So let me grab a multimeter real quick. Alright, so now I don't know if you can hear it or not, but this should beep when these touch together. And also it'll give you a reading like that. That's what we don't want. And so I checked it all the different ways that basically between every set of prongs on here. Nothing's connected to anything else, so that's good. Alright, so I'll plug it in. In 3, 2, 1. And it didn't explode, so we're good. Alright, it's unplugged again. So now that that's done, I think the next thing to do is to start wiring this here up. This is that breakout board that's going to connect onto here, and then we'll connect our outputs to here. But in order to do that, so the best way to connect wires to these screws here is with these things. These are called spade connectors, and it's basically just a little fork. I don't know how well you can see that. It's a little fork that goes under the screw. And I have a bunch of these, but they're not quite the right size. And they don't quite fit in there. Just a little bit too wide. But this is the size I need for the thickness of wire I need, which is 10 gauge wire. So I tried just bending them inwards a little bit, and that seems to work pretty well. Like this one here is one that was the same size, and I bent it just a little bit, and now it fits in pretty much perfectly. So the next thing I need to do is bend a few more of these. I have like 1 or 2 of them bent right now, but I think we'll need 8 eventually. So let me get this out of the way again. And I was able to just grab a pair of pliers and kind of squeeze them like this. And a lot of times they kind of bent together like that. So I just had to take a screwdriver. Let me grab a flat blade screwdriver and just pry these apart a little bit like this. Make sure that it's nice and straight. And let's test this one. Yep, that fits in perfectly. So now I'll do that 6 more times, I think. That one been a little too far. I had that happen a couple times too. You can usually just bend it back by flattening it out like this. So there's the ones that are finished. Alright, so there's 8 of those. So let me just test these quickly to make sure they all fit in here. That one's a tiny bit tight. That one fits. A little bit tight. Let me actually loosen one of these screws up so I can actually put it under there. I think the ones that are a little bit tight will be okay. I think this one's still a little bit too closed up here. There we go, now that one fits. That one's perfect. A little bit too closed again. Okay, that one works. Alright, they all fit. So as long as the connectors on this board aren't bigger, or aren't a tiny bit smaller, which they could be, I think they'll all fit in there too. So they should work. So now I have to figure out how long each of these wires needs to be. Let me get some of these tools out of the way. So this is going to go on here, and then wires are going to come out the sides here, aiming this way, and here going this way. And they're going to go under this board. To this, which is going to be right here. And I think I'll just connect the ones that come out this side here to right here. And then the ones that come out here, I'll have to wrap around this way and then to here. So we'll start with just the short ones here because those should be pretty easy to figure out how long they need to be. So this is the wire I have. I have some red and some black. And this is 10 gauge wire, which is supposed to be good for up to 30 amps, which is the same as what this fuse is. The fuse is for these two, so that's perfect. And the same as the max amount of amps that each of these can handle here. So I'm just trying to get an estimate for about how long this needs to be. I think I'm gonna go for about right here. And then I'll just cut a black one that's the same length. And then for the longer ones, it'll be a little bit harder to figure out. Here, I'm just gonna take this top plate off for a little bit. This will go from there to there. It's always better to leave a little bit extra than cut it too short. So I think we'll go for right about here. And again, I will cut a black one of the same size. So now I will move this box out of the way again. And we'll start with these short ones here. And we will get them stripped and crimp some of these on there. Oh, that's way too much wire. They can even be really short like that. It might be a little too short, but I think it'll be okay. So these here are the crimpers. So you can see they kind of have like a bump here that like kind of smashes it in. So you just put this right on there like that. And let me zoom in. Then squeeze. Then it's nice to give it a good tug to make sure it's on there. And that seems to be on there pretty well, so that did end up being a good length of wire. Alright, they're all finished. Let me give a quick tug on these. Yep, they all feel pretty solid. So now when we grab this board here, and the first thing I'll do is install all these fuses in here. So there's two 30 amp fuses on the ends for these two outputs here. And these are all, I believe, 5 amp fuses for these outputs here. And I'm not going to be using any of these right now, but these fuses all came with these boards. So I'm just going to put them in so they're there ready in case I ever do use those. Same thing with these connectors here. These are little connectors that you can put wires in and then tighten down with these screws here. Same as the ones that are on that controller board. I'm just going to put them on here. We won't be using them right now, but I'm just going to put them on here so they're on there in case I do use them at some point. That way I don't have to go digging around in all my stuff looking for them. So now I'll go ahead and connect these wires now, because it'll be a lot easier to put on now. And so I need the short ones on this side on the left side and the long ones on the right side, I believe. Alright, those are all on there. So now it's a lot easier to put this on the power supply while you have it accessible, and you can put it against the table like this. Just put this in and push down and wiggle a little bit, because it takes a little bit of force to get it on there. So there's that. This can go in this box now. And let me plug this in here also. Alright, and now that that's in there, I have some of these. These are just like a little 3D printed brackets. They're going to go across these. Then they're each going to get a washer and a nut, and that's what's going to hold that in place. Let me also pull the extra, this cable outside. Leave a little bit in here, and then I'll tighten down this this cable gland on the side. Alright, and there you can see I'm pulling on that, and it's not moving at all. So that's nice and secure there. While I'm in here, I want to make sure that this switch is turned on so I don't forget that later, and I'll be trying to figure out why it's not working. That is on now. These little 3D printed brackets with these bolts and nuts here holding it down actually do a really good job of holding this power supply in place. I was kind of surprised. Like, I can put a lot of force on that. I'm trying to slide that as hard as I can and it's not moving at all. So that's gonna be nice and solid in there. I think the next thing that should be done is maybe mounting this board onto this top plate. So for that, I just have some little machine screws here and some little washers and nuts, and then some spacers, because this has this second board here on the bottom, so you can see it sticks up a little bit, but we're mounting it with these holes on this top board. So I need some spacers to keep it up a little bit. I'm just gonna go ahead and dump all these parts into my little magnetic parts bowl thing here. And each of these will go through here, and they'll go through a standoff. These are actually 3D printed. They're just little 3D printed tubes, basically. There's a hole down there, just a cylinder with a hole in it. They're just easier and cheaper to 3D print than to find one their 8 size. And then this might be a little tricky. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see this because I gotta hold this all together and keep flipping it over. But that'll go through there. And we'll get one of these little tiny washers on the back. And then a nut. I'll just put them all on first and then I'll worry about tightening them down. And these nuts are special kind of nuts. Really small, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see these. Oh yeah, you can see that okay. So see, it has this little, like, barbed thing on the top, and it's almost like a washer that's attached to it, and it actually spins. These are called K-nuts, or like K-lock nuts, and they're basically a type of lock nuts. So once you tighten them down, which you actually don't want to tighten them down too much because they'll just entirely bend these little fingers on here and then they won't work that well. But once you tighten them down, it will just add a little bit of resistance on there to keep it from unscrewing itself from vibration and that kind of thing. Also to make sure this SD card is in here pretty well. Yep, because I don't want to have to take this whole thing apart later. Okay, so now let me grab a screwdriver again. I should just keep my screwdriver over here so I don't have to keep reaching across the camera. And so I'm going to try to tighten this down a little bit. And I think I should be able to tighten it down. It doesn't need much. So hopefully I can tighten it down enough without having to get a wrench with the correct size. And yeah, I can. I'm not going to tighten it down much. Alright, there we go. So far, this whole thing is looking really good. So, these need connected, but I might want to run all these pigtails in through these holes that you can't really see down here first, through these cable glands. I think I should put all of those in first and kind of pull them up, and then put this board in, because it's going to be a lot easier to put those through without this top board in the way. Some of these cable glands might need loosened up first. Probably don't need loosened quite that much, the whole thing came off. These are actually a bit tight going through here. I bought the size of cable glands they're usually used in Pixel controllers like this, but a size bigger, or size or two bigger, would have definitely been nice. But I'll make them work. I'm thinking I'm just gonna actually entirely take these little nut things off. That way I can kind of see when I'm pushing them through here a little bit better, just because they're so tight. Just need to make sure that when I take them off, they stay on this wire, or I'm not gonna be able to put them back on without taking the whole thing apart again. I'm not sure how far I have to push these through either. Just has to go on like kind of up and then onto the controller about like that, so I think that much will be good. And I have, since you can't really see these too well to count, I have 16 of these that needs to go on. Or wait, I don't know if I have, actually let me count these. Let me count these real quick. I just remembered I don't think I was planning on doing all 16. Yeah, I'm not. I'm just doing 8. So I have to make sure that I'm doing the right 8. Yeah, it is. It's just the first 8 from the left. And the rest of the cable glands, I'm just going to 3D print some little cylinder things just to fill those, so that way I can tighten them up and keep water from coming in. I really should have gotten a size bigger of these. It's taking a lot of force to push these through. That's halfway. There's 4 more to go. That one's kind of let loose and all the sun came in the whole way. These little rubber pieces, probably can't see this, but the little rubber pieces that squeeze around the cables are actually kind of coming out of the cable glands when I pull them back. So when I pull these back, I need to kind of manually move this. It's just basically a little rubber, almost looks like a little piece of a hose or something. And so I need to manually push these up, which is going to take a while. Alright, this next one's going to be a little bit tricky. It's going to be a little tight because it basically comes in right next to this this bolt here, but it should fit in there. Might have to reach in here with this little hook, try to pull it out. I'm not sure which side of this this bolt this will need to be on eventually, so I should probably look at that. Looks like the left side, and I was starting to put it on the right side. I think it'll fit through there too well once it's in, so it's better to get it on the right side now. This next one here should be high enough that it will go over this whole thing, so I don't have to do that again. Alright, that's the last one. So we can try to get these all bent up like this, as well as these wires and these. So I can put the top plate on, because these all need to go like up next to the plate. You know what, actually, before I do this, since these things are removable, I think it would be easier to just take these off, connect them first, and then put them back on. So these just come off like that. And then these wires will go into these three like that. And then those screws will be tightened down. But it's not labeled on this board, at least I don't see it labeled anymore, which one of these three wires is what. So I'm gonna actually have to look that up real quick. So hang on, I'll be right back.
It didn't always really felt right. Being one of many, but was never mine. It's just a lot to take, I can't hide. Wish that I would be in my own paradise. He said, there's one place that feels right. I can take you there if you like. Hold my hand and let me guide. You will find your pie in the sky. Every time I've been dreaming, but now I see. Now I can feel so nice. Feels just right. It can always be a dream though. Suddenly it seems to me that I know.
So quick update, it looks like these are ground, data, and then power in that order. I just have to look up what these colors on here are quickly. So I'll be right back again.
There's one place that feels right. I can take you there if you like. Let's hold hands and let me guide. You will find a pie in the sky. Every time I've been dreaming, but now you see. Now you can feel so nice. Feels just right. Feels just right.
Alright, so I don't want to go by these colors, but it looks like this is the top left one is ground, the top right one is power, and then the bottom one here is for data. Let me just double check that real quick to make sure I said that right. Yeah, it's ground, power over there, and then data at the bottom. So I'm gonna again just grab my multimeter and figure out which wire is which color. So this one should be ground here. So I'm guessing it's just going to be black is ground, red is power, and yellow is data. That would make the most sense. But I want to double check. And it's good I'm double checking because that's not correct. That's odd. So it's looking right now like the red wire is actually ground and the black wire is 12 volts, which is very backwards from how it normally would be. Yeah, and that's the same on another pigtail too. Okay, let me look this up and try to find another website to make sure that I have the pin out for this connector right, because that seems kind of weird. But it could be. It could just be a weird color scheme. I'm seeing the same thing everywhere for this pinout, that this one is, it's ground, right? That's, or wait, no, that's positive. Wait, is that the same as what I had before? I forget what I had before now. Oh no, that's different. So let me compare that against the first website I was looking at. That's definitely opposite the first website I was looking at. That makes a lot more sense with the color scheme. Let me see if I can find one more website. Oh, and it looks like my camera battery just died, so I'll fix that too. Hang on a second. Alright, so I couldn't find a third website, but I looked at some of the lights themselves, and they also look to me like the top left one here is power and the right one is ground, which matches with the colors on here, with red being hot and black being ground. So I think that one website was just entirely wrong. I'm going to have to send them a message about that. And so I'm going to wire it up the way that I think it should be, and I'll just test it carefully, I guess, but I'm pretty sure that this is the right way. So now I already forget what way they're supposed to go in here, so let me check that again real quick. It looks like it is ground on the left, and then it's ground, data, and then power. So, ground, data, power, like that. And yeah, it goes with the leads in the bottom like this. They go just like that, and we'll just copy them all off of that. And now, so these, okay, one more thing before I tighten these in. These wires are pre-tinned, which means they have some solder on them. that's actually not the best to just put wires with solder on them in these. I was not expecting them to come like that because the solder can compress down and loosen after a little while. But in this case, I actually bought some little, they're called like ferrules. It's basically a thing that you put over the wire when it's just stranded, and then you crimp it on, and then it gives you like a nice end. It's kind of like those terminals we used earlier, but it's just a round thing that you can then stick in something like this here. But I don't quite have enough clearance above this board to use them. They would stick up just a little bit too much. And so I'm going to use the tinned wires are a lot easier to work with these than just bare stranded wire. So I think I'm going to use these for now, and it should be just fine. Maybe I'll just check them after a little while to make sure that none of them have loosened up. Let me check that these are... Yeah, this one at least, these are open. Alright, and there's the first one. Now we've got 7 more to go. Now these ones, I think most of these from the factory are already tightened up the whole way, so I have to loosen them up first. And I don't know if you can see in here to see how these work. I'll try to show you quickly. You might be able to see. So basically you stick the wire in there, and then when you tighten this screw up, there's a little piece that comes up. You can see it like that, and it squashes the wire, so the wire would be in there, in between the top and the piece that's coming up, and so it squashes it against the top of the connector like that, and then that holds the wire in there. Try to grab one more from this board. I didn't quite get enough. Alright, now I'll try to grab all these cables and hold them up here, out of the way. So that this board can go on. Try to get these out of the way here, and then I will put these power connectors on here first. I think these might need squeezed in a little bit more for these connectors. Still a little bit tight. It's kind of bending these outwards a little bit, so these must be a little bit smaller than the other ones. That might be a little bit too much. This one especially looks like it's bent way too much. I'm not sure if that's going to fit over that screw anymore, but we'll try. Yeah, if that one was a little tight going over the screw, so if that was tight going over, I'm kind of doubting that this one's going to want to go on easily. I don't know how to even stretch that out now. Hopefully I don't have to replace this one. I might have to. Yeah, I think I might have to replace this one. On this side, this red one already looks pretty good. I think that one will be okay, but the black one could use a little bit more. I'm gonna see if I can get this one in a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And I think I will just have to replace this red one. I have an extra one of these that might work. Yeah, that goes in there really well. That's one of my practice ones from earlier. Alright, there we go. All those are connected. So now I just have to work on connecting all of these. Alright, they're all on there. Those fuses will be a little hard to get to replace, because you just have to unplug all of these. So now, next thing is, I don't know how well you can see this, probably not at all, but I said earlier about those little rubber pieces that were kind of wanting to get stuck on the cables because of how thick they are, so I'm just going to take all of those and push them up back into the cable gland where they're supposed to be, now that I have all these pulled to the right length. Had them all pretty close, most of them within like an inch or probably even less than an inch, so that's good. That means I don't have to push them as far. They're also sliding back pretty easily. Just making sure I have all these in the right order. I didn't put any of these in wrong, and they all look pretty good. So now the next thing I'm going to do is put these cable glands back together and tighten them up. So there's this little nut thing you can kind of see at the bottom of the screen right now. I know I'm kind of working off the screen, but I just don't really have a good way to turn this so that you can see what I'm doing. So all these nuts are just going to go back onto the cable glands and get tightened up a little bit. Alright, I've got all those tightened up good enough. So all the like power stuff and data stuff here is basically done. So the only things that are left to do is I'll fasten this top plate down, and also we need to do a little bit of networking stuff. So there's an Ethernet cable that's going to connect from, it's another cable gland over here, but it's like a pass-through cable gland. So it actually just has like an RJ45 port. If you don't know what an RJ45 port is, it's basically just the connector that's used for like Ethernet on your computer. And so that's going to go from there. I need to make a custom cable for that. That's going to go from there up to this Ethernet jack right here. And then I also have 2 more of those cable glands here that are going to go up to 2 of these here. And then there's a 3rd one over here that's going to go to, it's actually just going to go to one of these terminal blocks right here. That one's not going to get a connector on this end. So I have a big spool of Cat5e cable. This stuff right here. I'm not going to set the whole spool up here because it's very large. It probably won't even fit in frame. And so I can try to roughly measure. I'm hoping I can plug these in with a pair of pliers or something without having to take this top one off. These 2 and this one I should be able to, but I'm not sure about this one in the corner. So I'm going to try to measure roughly how much I need. I think we're going to go for about that much right there. Let me move some of these tools out of the way. Here's my fancy RJ45 cutter crimper thingy. I'll cut that. Ping you Sven, I hope I said your name right. I'm not sure, but hello. And sorry if I didn't say your name right. So these other ones are going to go from these ports here up to these here. It's just going to be 2 of these. Looks like it's going to be the top 2 here. Actually, I think they can be the same length. I'll just cut 2 more that are the same. And then I'll need 1. It goes from this port over here. It can just go under all of these cables. And it's going to go up to one of these here. So I'll cut that one about here. Alright, so now I'm going to get this out of the way. And I'm trying to find it real quick. Here it is. I have a pinout here for how these connectors need to go on. So there's 2 standards. There's T568A, which that one's turned the other way for some reason, and T568B. And with modern Ethernet devices, you only need to use one standard, and you can use the same one on both ends of the cables. And we're going to use T568B for that because that's the most common one that's used. On older devices, sometimes you need to use what's called a crossover cable, which would have the A on one side and the B on the other side. Are you putting the pixel panel in the same box? I'm not sure what you mean by the pixel panel. You'll have to elaborate on what you mean in that. So here I have some made in China, of course, connectors. These are the RJ45 connectors that are going to be crimped on. And they go in. But what is that controller's job? That is the main pixel controller right there. So that's going to be receiving data from a Raspberry Pi, if you know what that is. And then it's going to be that's the thing that actually tells the pixels what to do then. It's a CULP K16A-B, I believe, if you're looking for the model number. And so these go in like this, and I'm not going to crimp it down because you have to have the wires in there first, obviously. But there you go, put that in there, and then you squeeze this, and it crimps all of those contacts. There's 8 contacts on there. It crimps them all down at the same time. So let me grab another tool real quick. This is a really handy little thing for stripping these. So we won't need a whole lot, probably only about that much. But sometimes it's a little bit hard to rearrange these with just this little amount, but I'll give it a try. And so I have to get my pin out back real quick. So with this held like this, it's orange stripe, orange, green stripe, blue stripe, green, brown stripe, and then brown. And this part tends to be a little bit tricky. Sometimes if you take these once you have them in the right order, and you grab them and you kind of bend them back and forth like this, it helps get rid of like how the wires are twisted, because they're twisted together, they're twisted in pairs in here. So there's 4 pairs of 2 wires twisted together. And if you bend them back and forth like that, it kind of helps keep them in the right order. And that's already trying to move from where they're supposed to be. This part is really tricky. Alright, I think I got them in there the right way. And this is such a short piece of wire that I could just push this. Sometimes you have to trim the ends of these off. Like take it back out and trim them off to make these wires right length. But this is so short that I was able to just basically push the insulation in, and the extra wire came out this side. Let me take a closer look at these real quick just to make sure that I have these in the right way before I crimp it. Yep, that looks right. Alright, now we do the other side the same way. Alright, that's one full cable done. Now we do that 3.5 more times. Now this part's probably pretty boring, but it had to be done. Almost done. This is the last one. And we can connect these to the controller. Then on this side, this is the longer one that's going to connect to that screw terminals. So this one does not get a connector on this side. Instead, I'm going to strip. I'll go for a little bit more than that. I'm going to strip this, and then you probably can't. Well, yeah, you can kind of read it. I've marked on here which wire is used for DMX, DMX is like a stage lighting protocol that's used for, well, stage lights normally, but it can also be used for like AC Christmas light controllers, like for older style lights, and I have a snow machine that uses it and a couple other things. So that's what this is going to be for. And so I have a pin out here. It normally uses orange stripe for DMX plus, orange solid for DMX minus, and then brown stripe for common. So I'm going to keep those three, and then I'm just going to cut off everything else because they're not going to be used. And I'm going to strip these. Let me get my really small wire strippers here. These go from 20 gauge all the way up to 30. So I believe this is 26 gauge wire. And actually, before I strip these, let me see how much I need to strip. I think I am going to use some of those little ferrule things I talked about earlier for these. So let me grab those quick. Alright, here they are. Used to just make these ones a little bit easier to work with because of how small they are. So it'll probably be the smallest size. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. So it's basically just... Well, here, I'll show you a big one so you can see it better. Here, it's basically just a tube with a little bit of insulation on it. You stick your wire through from this side, and then you use a special crimper to smash it all together. And they're normally used for stranded wire, but I think we should be okay to use them for solid here, and I think it'll help a little bit. Oh, these are actually big enough that the insulation and everything's going to want to go through here. I need to make sure I'm not pushing it in too far. Let me go grab those special crimpers. This is the third special crimper I've used in this video. So these have these little like teeth things on here that when you squeeze them together, they come together like that, and it crimps it in there and smashes it together. That did not work at all. I'm not sure if it's because these wires are just too small. Or it could be because they're solid, because like I said, I don't think these are really designed to be used for solid core wires. They're more designed for stranded wire to help keep the strands together. Yep, okay, I guess we're not using those. As long as those screw terminals are small enough, they should go in there just fine without them. Let me just clean up here a little bit. So this one over here is the one that might be a little tricky. I might be able to lift this board off of here, I'm not sure. So we have all these cables at the front. I can lift it up, but I don't think I'll be able to lift it off. So let me see if I can reach back in here. Well, I'll just grab this. I'll grab this with a pair of needle nose pliers and then reach back in there and try to plug it in. There we go. Got it in. I grab my handy little hook again to try to grab this, pull it out here. Then I'll push this back down. And this one is going to plug in right here. Actually, let me plug these two in here first because they'll be easier to get to now. These are the two other short ones. Hopefully I made these long enough. it's a little tight. I can get this one, but I'm not sure about the other one. Okay, it's tight, but it went in. Definitely could have made all three of these a little bit longer. Right, I got that one plugged in. And this last one here, I'll feed under all these other wires here. This one could have been a little bit longer also, but it'll work. I think I can route this one up a little bit farther and make it a little bit better. Going to put it up above this top plastic plate and just directly under the board itself. Not ideal, but it should work. Let me grab this pin out one more time. Alright, orange stripe is DMX plus, solid orange is minus, and the brown stripe is ground. I'm gonna trim these down because they're a little bit too long. Yeah, those seem to grab in there decently well without those wire ferrules. Alright. I think this is basically finished. One last thing to do. Well, two actually. One, we gotta zoom into this screen real quick because there's a peel on here. Probably one of the smallest peels I've ever done. And last, we turn it on to make sure that nothing explodes. That's the most important thing. And then second, to make sure that a couple lights turn on. Alright, I'm gonna plug it in. We've got some lights. Let me turn off some of these lights in the room so you can see them better. So we've got lights for all of these outputs over here on, and lights for all these outputs here, and some lights on this bottom board over here. And hopefully this screen should turn on soon if we wait a little bit. Maybe. There it is. Let me grab a string of the pixels. Those are the lights that this is going to control. And then we may be able to actually test it depending on if I have this set up correctly or not. Let me turn some lights back on. Alright, here are some of the lights. So, this is still working on booting up, it looks like. But I'll plug these into the first one here. I believe this is the first one. Yes, it is. I will plug these into here a while. That's the wrong end. Let's see. There we go. White, red, green, blue. Right here I can do a chase effect so you can see them different colors. Again, let me turn some lights off. They look a little bit better in person than on the camera. But they're working. Let me turn that off. And there's one more thing I have to do real quick that I forgot about. I have to screw this top plate back on. So I'm gonna disconnect these pixels. And I'll shut this down, which might take a little while, so I'll start putting these on a while. No, actually it turned off really quick. And I unplugged the wrong thing. I tried to unplug that and I unplugged my monitor instead. Alright, there. Now I can see again. Okay. So now we'll bolt this top plate on. We've got some washers. And some more of these K-lock nuts. Alright, and now I can put the lid back on. If I have room to do that here, I might not, because I have to flip this around. And I had room to flip it around before, but now there's a bunch of cables hanging out this other side. No, one more extremely important thing before I put this lid back on. See if I can find where they are. Hold on a second. Alright, and the extremely important thing is stickers. Stickers from all the companies that all the pixels and the controller and all the other stuff came from. And this is a thick sticker. Let's see. So this one has a couple different ones, a couple different sizes. This one's pretty big. I think I'll put this one in this corner here. And now for these ones. I'm thinking the one that says Matos Designs Pixels, because right now I only use their pixels and that's it. And thinking right up here. That'll leave plenty of room for more in the future. Alright, now we can put this lid on. Alright. Does the lid shut? It's a little tight. It's not wanting to shut. I can force it shut, but something's bulging up a little bit. Let me get this turned around again. I think it's just all these cables here, and this plexiglass is fairly thin, so I think it's just pushing this down. That'll just have to be like that. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. Well, I might be able to tighten some of these up a little bit, but I'll do that later. It's fine for now. So, alright, I think that is it for this entire controller build. Wasn't sure if I'd get it done in 3 parts or not, but I did. It's a little bit of a longer stream, but I got it done. So, thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to hit that follow button if you haven't already, because I've got more stuff coming. I have to build 2 more controllers that are, well, they're not exactly controllers. They're similar to this, but much, much smaller. They're called differential receivers. And yeah, they're basically this, but much, much smaller. And they work a little bit differently. So I've got to build 2 of those. I'm not sure if I can get those done in 1 stream or if it'll take 2. And I've got some more Christmas light related stuff after that. So thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye.